Everyone is present. Robert is virtual. Pledge of allegiance flag is over there. Pledge allegiance.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Italio's doing that? There we go.
So with that, our first mission statement, Viroqua area schools will nurture excellence, unlock potential, and ignite passion. We have the student board report, student activities and academics, and we have Elizabeth. Come this way. Thank you for coming tonight.
Great. My name is Elizabeth Colbert. I'm a senior here at Viroqua, and next year I plan to go to Iowa State University in Ames for a degree in animal science. I guess my favorite class while I've been here was animal science. And then right now I'm also taking chemistry too, which it's a little bit like mind-boggling at times, but it's also like really exciting because I like what we're doing in there. And then I'm taking AP US history right now, which is also mind-boggling at times. But it's been really fun. It's like challenged me to, I guess, learn how to study, which has been interesting. But you know, kind of just rolling with it, and it's been going good. Some activities that I'm in, been in band all 4 years in my high school and middle school. I'm in percussion, so during the marching season I play snare drum. And then I've also been in FFA for 6 years. I'm the chapter president right this year. I'm also in Skills USA. I'm the reporter for that. And during the fall, I play golf on the golf team. And in the past, I've done trap shooting.
So Skills USA, you're the reporter. What does that mean?
We've just been like trying to get the word out that Skills USA is a organization, and like advertising the projects that we make. So we have last year we sold a bunch of cutting boards that were made down in the wood shops, and keychains, and you know everything that our chapter like makes down in the wood shop. Just like putting it out there so the community can enjoy that as well.
Why did you choose Iowa?
My brother and his wife went there, and they really enjoyed it. I was going at first. I said I wasn't going to go to Iowa State because that's where they went. My other brother also went to Iowa State for a bit, so I was like, nope, I'm not going there. But when I went and toured the campus down there, it really did feel like home, and it was a really nice campus. And they also have a marching band there, which I'm going to audition for. And I got offered to apply to their honors program.
Well, if there's anything that we can do as a district to assist you at all with your future plans, please let us know, and congratulations. All great things. Thank you. The next item is Spotlight on Education. We have Middle School Adaptive PE Peer Buddies Program. Talia is presenting.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
How are we doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good. I heard someone say that it was past their bedtime almost. It's a little how I feel most nights too. So, yeah. So I'm really glad that I finally have the opportunity to have you all, just so I can tell you a little bit about our program, I can brag a little bit about our students and our assistants because it has been a very successful program so far. And I haven't done much to set it up. I just set it up and it's been running great because of the people we have. So I had the idea early in fall because it was something that I helped set up in the past district that I worked at. And I saw the benefits, and then being here, it was impossible to not start the program. So I asked our guidance counselor, Miss Alyssa, if she would be on board, and she was very excited. So she helped me kind of get it started and communicated with all the teachers, and we got everybody on board started within like a week. So it's been going now since I think September, October, something like that. So a big thanks to Alyssa to help me get it started, all the teachers for agreeing to it and giving up some of their time with their students. Because I know a little bit of it is class time, but they're not missing too much time. And I think they are reaping the benefits far more than missing a little bit of class time. But I have 9 students total. So I have three 8th graders on Monday, 3 on Wednesday, and 3 on Friday. Sorry, my kids are screaming in the background. Probably why it'd be better if I was there in person, but it doesn't always work that way.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you have seen the Peer Buddy program. I think Mr. C has, I don't know if you've been in there. Have you, Steve?
Yep.
You've been in there? I know Kathy's been in there before. I could just to run down the list of benefits. I won't take some time to talk about all of them, but I mean, the inclusivity, the positive friendships that have come out of it, and the relationships between our peer buddies and our students has really grown, not even just in my class, but I see that carryover in my gen ed PE classes. Is some of the students that weren't really noticing our students with disabilities actually take some initiative to take them on their team or be partners with them. So the engagement is so much more than there was early on, because the other students who are not my peer, who are not my helpers, have been seeing what some of my buddies are doing and some of the reactions and the relationships they're building. And that's kind of just trickled on to the rest of class. And that was really my hope, is that it would just sort of spread through the rest of the school. And I've seen so many good things, and I've heard of a lot of good things that I don't always see, but a lot of teachers will, relay the message of them doing something and including some of these students out in gym or recess or just in the hallway when they acknowledge each other, out of all the students, and they go out of their way to give somebody a high five or walk with them down the hallway versus walk with their other peers. I mean, that speaks a lot.
Want to have any questions?
Taya, can you give us an example of a couple activities they've done together that work
Sure.
especially well?
Yeah. One of our favorites that we did earlier on this year was a train. So I had all the gymnastics mats stacked. And then I had scooters underneath, and they were all connected through hula hoops. And they just went through a train ride through the gym, and they just had so much fun. We did that for almost a full 40 minutes, and our buddies were pretty tired. Another activity that they've loved is using the gymnastics room, but I've set the mats up really tall. And even though dodgeball might be frowned upon, in the gymnastics room with the tall mats, they've had so much fun, hunkering down and jumping up and throwing balls at each other or hiding them and, bombarding somebody with them, because it's their chance to actually play in the game more so than if it's done like a similar game in gym. They've had a lot of fun with that. Another one is, what's another one we've done? We did scooter, like a crab soccer with a giant soccer ball early on, and that was a lot of fun. We used balloons a few times, and they've had so much fun with just a simple keepy-uppy game. And then the gymnastics room, we've done a few of obstacle courses, and that's my personal favorite because it's a chance for them to just work on their balance and coordination without actually doing something that's a specific skill. So doing an obstacle course helps flexibility and balance and coordination, and they've had a really good time working on going across the balance beam, sometimes even without assistance. One of my students, before I had the gymnastics room kind of changed around a little bit, we had the springboard and then one of the crash mats, and she was able to do a front flip onto the crash mat. And she was so proud of herself, and the buddies that saw her do that went and they were bragging about it to another couple classes. So, just like those kind of things that they wouldn't normally get noticed for, but it's just when they talk about it outside of class, makes me so proud that they take pride in what they're doing, and they're getting that empathy, and they're getting that confidence level too of, this is cool. These students have something else that they want to share, and they didn't realize it because they were never given the time before.
See the program expanding?
I am hoping to do the same type of program in elementary school next year. I've already spoken with Mr. Olson, who's on board with it, and some of the teachers over there. So I'm hoping that it might take a little bit more teaching. If we can find a few fifth graders, it'll take a lot more teaching, but it is possible to get a few of those good fifth graders to join one of our classes to make it more of like a smaller PE class.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It sounds
You're
awesome. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Offering to our students. And thanks for being on virtually too.
Yeah,
And we
of course.
did not hear your children either.
No, we didn't hear it all.
They're downstairs and it's fine. It's mostly laughing.
Have a good evening, but you can stay on if you would like as well.
I better go and calm down the chaos, even though I'm glad you can hear it. Thank you
Thank you,
guys so
Talia.
much. It was an honor to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The next item is committee reports, compensation. Kim?
Conversations met a couple times and the majority of the meetings have been in closed session to talk about potential early retirement plans and those things, and that is later on the agenda.
Do we have any public comments?
No.
Great, thank you. Consent agenda includes approval of the agenda, proof of public notice, January meeting minutes, voucher summary 1 in the amount of $274,203.23. Retirements and resignations, there are none. Appointments, there are none. The consent.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying Robert?
Yes, I'll say aye.
Aye, all right, all in favor, aye. I heard him come on, so thank you. The next item is an action item, and that's voucher summary 2, and these are expenses related to health insurance.
I move to approve voucher summary 2 in the amount of $302,439.47.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I abstain. The next item is 23-24 early retirement incentive.
I move to approve the 2023-24 early retirement incentive offer for eligible professional staff members as discussed.
And presented.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay.
Can't be the one.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom, do you want to give a little information?
Sure, yep, so communication will go out to all eligible. But it essentially will consist of 3 pieces to the early retirement incentive package. One will be the additional contributions to the health, the HRA, which was already in for most of our staff members that are of eligible age. Would also include an accumulated sick leave payout and continued engagement opportunity with an increased sub-rate pay. Did I say that right? Sub-rate pay. And then again, more communication will go out to those individuals that are eligible for that benefit.
And Tom, they will maintain whatever eligibility they had already. I just wanted to clarify that. They already had some money going into HRA for some of them, depending on when they were in the district, and then there will be an additional.
Yep, none of the agreements that were already a part of the employee handbook would be changed as far as if you were eligible for some of those benefits. So this is all in addition to, right?
Any other questions?
Robert, do you have any questions?
What was the impetus for this and what's the goal? Or can you not answer that in open
No,
session?
we can have that conversation. So as we've discussed multiple times over the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, we are facing a fiscal cliff in our finances, and next year we are projecting a budget deficit. And this is one way that some districts have done two things, which is honor those staff members that have been here and given so much time to the district, in addition to not have to make an unfortunate, decision of either releasing a staff member with the potential to be here long term, or other budgetary considerations. And so it has the potential to be significant savings to the district while also honoring those staff members that have been here for so many years.
And
Thank you.
valuing the staff members that have been here and the work that they do and the knowledge that they have, and finding opportunities for them to be here through perhaps subbing and some things like that.
Yep. Any other questions?
None from me.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the school calendar.
Yep. So as we've discussed we've already approved the start date and end dates for next year. We are still working on a couple of things. Really, we're trying to honor the collaboration time that we have put a premium on, as far as increasing that with what we're calling CLTs and collaborative learning teams at each building. And so with that, when we are expecting our staff to collaborate on a different level, we have to give them the time to collaborate on a different level. We can't just say, hey, make this happen or get this done. And so essentially, the current calendar that we have right now, that I would like to have a conversation with a couple of more staff members about, but right now would allow for either part of in-service time or an early release, up to 4 early releases throughout the school year, to allow our staff to have that time to meet with their collaborative teams. And so that would essentially put every calendar month that we have staff here, they would have some time built into every month. And so that's the goal right now. It does have some byproducts that we're still trying to make sure that we're working through. And so the initial one, when you do insert early release time, is how do we make sure that our support staff still has their hours honored, and making sure that's not a cut to their paycheck. And so that's one of the layers that we're working on. And so I'm going to be sitting down with the paras and making sure we've got their perspective before finalizing on, all right, what are some options for that time? The second one, that, and maybe not secondary or anything, but definitely a major concern, is childcare. We are still in a childcare desert, and how do we make sure that we are able to provide our families an option, maybe not that everyone takes advantage of, but an option. So we're trying to find that balance. And so next step is to try to get as many of our support staff in the same room as possible. Beth and I have been working on it. It's hard to get that many people, especially with different schedules. And some leave before the end of the day, or some are on buses and are traveling with our students. So we're trying to get that coordinated and as soon as possible. But that's the goal right now, is to make sure that our teachers have some time every single month, where they can have that time to be in their collaborative teams.
And our district has done that in the past.
Yep.
Done it we've had those in the morning, we've had them in the afternoon. So it's not a new idea, just.
Yep. We are looking at Wednesdays for the majority of them, just because we don't have our 4K here. So our families already have a childcare plan for our 4-year-olds at that point. Hopefully, but that definitely minimizes that impact as much as possible. So those are the days we're looking at for that reason.
As you know more, you'll let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. The next item are donations over $250, and we have total amount of $9,977.13, which has been gifted to our district. It includes $2,837 for boys hockey uniforms, $827.03 for middle school wrestling warmups, $900 for girls basketball duffel bags, $2,200 for boys basketball uniforms, $468 for volleyball fan bus for senior banners and wrestling bags, $622.44 high school wrestling singlets, $286.15 for middle school wrestling bags. And that was all contributed through the Athletic Booster Club. We have Viroqua FFA alumni donated $986.51 to the FFA. Good Shepherd Lutheran Church donated $300 to the student pantry. And Performing Arts Booster Club donated $550 to fourth grade symphony trip. So we all thank them for their generosity, their hard work, their dedication to our district and our students. And the next item is the district administrator report.
Yeah, I should, give me 1 second. I'm going to connect to this meeting really quickly so that I can project. It's always better to see pictures, right?
Should also say we should say thank you to all of the people that go to all of the events and are sponsors of all those organizations that then can make those gifts to our community, for our school, our students.
And so again, this is the owner's report, which is sent the week before the board meetings. Can I share, Beth?
Yes.
All right. And so as we're walking through this piece, and I think I can scroll down, there we go. Myron gives this to us as an update. And I think it's just really good to kind of go through this. We've had some major milestones. So masonry walls are all constructed in the new elementary for these classrooms down in the fourth grade wing. We actually got to walk our staff and students through it. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago, Kim? 2 weeks ago, I think, when all of the masonry was done. And so what I was fearing, and I think what everybody was kind of fearing, is, hey, this space looks huge. When walls go up, it's not gonna be as large. And I think that piece was definitely our concerns were done away with as soon as you walked in. It was really cool how they were able to do that, and it still had some loud moments for our fourth grade meeting. I think they should be quieter now, and so. As long as they're not cutting through block or the floor, it's been okay. I think they had one major day of disruption and then a couple of hours on a different day. So we will be doing the new additions. We'll kick off in March. So for the elementary school, the work that's going to be done in March is that secure front entrance addition. The renderings are up here with a slight color change. It's not going to be this bright. Hold on, we'll go back up to this picture here. And so it will be the orange of our logo is this. And so I have an example of it. It just doesn't turn out right on that screen for some reason. So it's not this neon kind of orange that's in this rendering. It's more of it is the exact same color as our logo. And so I've got a sample of that in my office if anybody wants to take a look at that. And it's a really cool material. And then the middle school, high school will have the two-story classroom addition on the northwest side that will begin in March. The secure front entrance will also begin in March, and so will the tech ed addition. So this campus is going to have a lot of disruption from March to the not only through the end of the year, but all the way to the end of the summer. And so We will be having a groundbreaking event April 2nd. And so that's when they believe that it'll be warm enough to do something outside, although I think we could have done it today and it would have been fine, but they're really excited about this. I'm really excited about it too. But we're already going to be in construction, and so it's going to be more for just a celebration that we're doing this work and getting that done. Last day of school is that May 22nd, and then that really will be the major kickoff for internal. So essentially, they're going to build the additions and then be ready at that May timeframe to blow out any walls that are connected to that addition. And so it's going to be really really cool. Unforeseen conditions right now, we're in pretty good shape. We have long lead times on a couple things. One is HVAC. I know everybody's really surprised with how the elementary project went, that we are also having some long lead times on HVAC. So that's going to be one. The air handlers are something that we're looking at 16 weeks from the time of order. We ordered probably 3-4 weeks ago at this point. So it's going to be tight for some of those. And then doors will be the death of me. I promise. It was the same thing at the ELC. You would not think that doors would be the issue, especially internal doors. The external, what they call storefront doors, are not the issue. It's the internal wood, what I would call normal doors, that seem to be the issue. And so those are going to be the two right now that we know we're going to have longer lead times on. Mike, anything else on that one? Those were the two.
Those were the overhead doors too are,
The overhead doors, yep.
but it sounds like that's done.
Yep. So then again, looking at this, just timeline, you can go ahead and read through this report. We have tons of subcontractors on board, Fowler and Hammer, Hengel Brothers, Stanek Electric, Cooley Region for the HVAC, and Palinger for the drywall. And so we also have Myron staff. And so we do have our junior that works here at the school that is doing half of his day doing that paid internship for Myron right now, which is a really cool opportunity and experience. And so he's getting that right now. We've had no weather delays. And yeah, again, that HVAC is looking like it's a ways out. And so as far as pictures, these are some of the construction pictures right here. So this is Trayton, who is our youth apprentice. We have him working on the elementary right there, doing some infilling on the plumbing. And right now, we're so far along, there are walls up all over this where he's working right now. And then we are, working on what they call toothing in the masonry block. You can see it kind of looks like a zipper right there to try to match up with the old block. And then here's what the plumbing rough-ins look like in the bathrooms right now. It's down over there. I don't know if you can see where my cursor is there. This is what the metal studs look like on the exterior walls. This is one of the classrooms. This will be Miss Schneider's room next year. We don't want to make it a competition, but I don't think anyone's going to have more windows than she has in her classroom in the district. And so it's a very unique space that way. Oh, and then there's working through and taking the kids through while no one was working, but man, they had some questions. And so it was really cool. Unfortunately, and Mr. Brendel had to point this out to this fourth grade group, they won't be able to enjoy any of this because this is a fourth grade, these are fourth grade classrooms. And so really appreciated that one, Mike, as now then I have.
I didn't say it down.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned it to one or two because we had some awes in the room. But what I think was really cool was they're the ones that are having to deal with this, the most right now. It's literally against their wall that all this construction noise is happening, and where all of these construction workers are walking through and disrupting their learning at times. And so for them to be able to see it, and I don't know how many of them told me they peek through the little
We all do.
There's a little spot in one of the doors that you can kind of like, I don't know, is it not even an inch wide, probably. That you can peek through and kind of see what's happening. But to say they're making quick progress is probably an understatement. It is really incredible that all of the walls are already up and done. They're working on drywall they started today and will be done in less than 2 weeks, and paint will be happening after the week after that. And so it's incredibly quick, but also, and as you can see, if you've ever walked through a construction site, to have this as this picture here up on the top right, it's clean. It is not this crazy dirty place where, people are just leaving tools out or anything like that. It is incredibly organized and incredibly clean. And so we want to thank both Myron and HSR for their work. Myron is the construction manager through this part of the process, and we couldn't have asked for more. Any questions on that?
Tom, I have one, and it relates to the retention pond area.
Yep.
Got a contact from someone. I think the scouts worked in there a little bit, so it might be nice if that sign could find a home with the scouts.
Okay, I will look into that, and we'll see where we
I
can
don't
go
know
from
the
there.
contact person, so
I do know the
Not a good-
contact person, yep. So I will get a hold of her. It's a different troop than what used to be there, so they've started a new troop. So I will check to see what she wants to do with it.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep. Any other questions? Yeah.
I am wondering when Trenton might present to us.
Trayton,
Trayton.
we can do that at some point.
I mean, he has time. He's going to be here next year as well, but
Yep. Yeah, it's a really cool to work on your own school. It's really cool.
And as they said today, boy, he's a hard worker.
Yes.
They're very happy with him.
All right. WSB convention update. So last month, myself and 4 board members went to the school board convention. I think it was a great time for networking and connecting. I've had a couple meetings since with a few of the people that planned that convention. One of my suggestions that is moving forward, and they're asking for some, see, this is the problem when you make suggestions, right? They go, yeah, that sounds great, run with it. And so one of them that we're going to be looking at is almost a roundtable format for superintendents. It is a school board convention, but obviously there are so many superintendents there. And so some of the sessions are really good for superintendents, but a lot of them are more, again, geared towards the board, as it should be. But then oftentimes you have superintendents that are either, just not engaged in that piece, or are trying to do, make other connections during that time. And so essentially what we're looking at doing is just putting you tables with different topics for superintendents at different times. So we don't need a speaker, don't need anything like that. And it'll be more of a, hey, if you want to come and talk about this at this time, we're going to be here and having that conversation about whatever topic. And more of just a piece like that, which I think will bring some value to some of the superintendents during just some of the, again, a lot of them are really good, and some of them are just, it just doesn't pertain necessarily to the superintendents. So they're looking at that, and we're working with a couple of the committees on that. So otherwise, I think it was, again, a great time, and a lot of people are there, and it's I'll let one of our members talk about her experience that was different from the other board members' experience the previous year. Matt's still shaking his head. And so, but overall, I think, again, we got what we needed to out of it, and that's what's really important. And then staff in-service update. So last week, Monday? Doesn't seem right. Okay, last week, Monday, we had our staff in service, which included a variety of things. But in both buildings, we went through an Alice refresher for our school safety planning. And the way we did it is one that I think we will continue to do again, as we got some awesome feedback from our staff all across the district. We brought in, Kathy, help me out, how many law enforcement officers?
6, 7.
Brought in 7 law enforcement officers from county and the city agencies. And essentially, we went into small groups with staff members from the same area of the buildings, with those groups ranging from probably 10 to 15 in each small group. And we walked through scenarios one by one with those individuals, with a law enforcement expert and an administrator within those rooms. And it was super, super cool to see just that, you know, it was a little bit less intimidating, I think, for some of our staff as you're in smaller groups. And they had so many more questions that pertained to their location in the district and how that looked and what should we do in these situations and how does this look? And so it was really good. I did get some feedback from the staff that and we need to give a disclaimer before the one officer gets into some of his pieces with things like stop the bleed and things like that. And so we will take that into consideration as we are moving. Yep. We will take that into consideration. I'm getting a lot of head nods. For the record, we didn't know his, exactly how he was going to go through things. But so we've learned and we will continue to go through that. But it was such a good, it was just a more intimate experience than, hey, let's all sit here and watch a video together, or, listen to a speaker for 2 hours together. It was, all right, no, we're going to go through and as staff have questions, let's answer those right now, live. And if we can't answer them, then we're going to get back to them at a later time. But there was a great list of frequently asked questions that we're compiling. And again, great feedback from the staff that it was a good use of the time, even though nobody wants to go and have that conversation. Nobody wants to do that. But it was, again, very highly rated by our staff in that post in-service survey.
Well, in watching the news, there is great value. Hopefully never necessary in our district, but you never know where you're going to be publicly as well.
Mm-hmm.
That those lessons can carry forward and perhaps make a difference.
Yep. Any questions about that? All right. I think I'm done now.
Right, so the next items are our administrative reports. So we'll start with Pat, mid-year elementary PBIS.
Yeah, so the elementary building, we focus on the Viroqua way, being respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. And the biggest thing with that is the consistency that brings throughout the building. So everyone's expectations in common areas, hallway, bathrooms, playground, lunchroom, all those common areas that we have the same expectations. Not what I think or another teacher thinks, consistent throughout the building. And another way we do that is we teach those expected behaviors and then model it and practice it and then reteach and reteach and reteach. Similar to any other subject, math, reading. If a student is struggling, we don't punish them. Reading, we teach and reteach and practice and provide support. So it's the same thing with behaviors. We also give out Blackhawk bonus tickets. So if staff see students, the one way to acknowledge that positive behavior is so if you notice something, I like the way you're walking in the hallway, here's a ticket for being respectful in the hallway. Okay, obviously doing this or that. And then students vote for one of 2 choices for our end of the quarter celebrations. Movie day in pajamas and comfy clothes, or an outside dance party. And then one that I believe Mrs. Brown suggested, one of our 4th grade teachers brought with us from our pipeline to the north to do a fancy lunch. So this is the second year we've done that, which is in theory not a lot of work for the adults. It's just kids and adults get to dress up. We have taken a lunch with some decorations on the table, maybe some music, but the staff at Viroqua, the kitchen staff, go above and
Way above.
like it's awesome. They said, we want all in. They made a special dessert for that day. They actually bring the food out and serve it to the kids. It's pretty cool. So that part was really, really special. And again, it shouldn't be a lot of work on our end, but they went above and beyond, which is awesome. Just to make it a special day for kids, which is what we're here for. So we know it's not a perfect system, but it's a system that brings some consistency. If students aren't following the expectations and it becomes a major problem, we can fill out a behavior form so that we could track, is there certain, is our, are we having problems, or where is that at? Is it on the playground, or is it at 10 o'clock every morning in the bathroom, and even narrow that down to specific students? Are they struggling all day, or are they struggling in certain areas or certain times of the day? So that we can help curb some of that behavior. So again, it's not a perfect system, but it brings consistency, and we just focus on those big things of following the Viroqua way, and it works pretty well for us. Questions on that?
Did you bring it to society?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I mean, that's the idea,
Yeah.
is that we have these behaviors as adults, and hopefully copy those behaviors as we move forward. I know in the workforce, actually, one of the complaints is people not being respectful. And so that's something they ask us to teach in a higher education. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next item, child find process, Kathy.
All right, so this is the time of the year where we are rounding up students who may be coming into our schools. So every family that has children that we know of on our census that are born between 9/2/19 and 9/1/20 are invited to participate in 4K enrollment and the screening process. The way we used to bring them in and get eyes on all of these children, since COVID, we've done it a little bit differently. We send out letters to everyone with ages and stages, questionnaires, and have the parents fill out questionnaires and send them back in. Those that have concerns, or those that we would maybe flag from reading those and scoring those with our early childhood team, will get a call and be asked to come in and do some play group things, or some screening specially for those type of children. We also have Wednesday play groups for 3-year-olds, and it's time to be looking ahead for our littles. So that's how we do it these days.
I'll be curious when it's 2020, that group of children, just because they didn't have some of the socialization that other children had. Be interesting to see how that goes forward. How many students do you anticipate this year?
Really not certain. Between 45 and 60, I would say.
Okay.
I believe Julie has gotten 45 questionnaires back. But you don't always get them all back. You know,
Sure.
we always get some surprises. So
And people move in and out of.
So if anyone knows of anyone that did not get a letter or a screener, spread the word. And we've put things, flyers up on public notices at the library, at the daycare centers, hospital, anywhere we can think of to get that information out as well. Because we know that people move in and not everyone is connected to the school. So looking for those kids that are out there. So if you know children who we may not have on our census, or talk about going, they're doing child find right now. Did you get your letter? That would be great. That'd be great.
The next item is Mental Health Guiding Coalition, and that's Steve.
Yeah, so I actually am going to refer you to the report that is linked, or maybe Mike or Tom could bring that up on the screen too for us to refer, because there are some graphics for us to take a reference of. But so the Mental Health Guiding Coalition is new for us this year. So the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to UHawks Rock. Shout out to our honorary Blackhawks, Christy Tainter, Abby Vernon, and Jenny Riggle from CISA 4, who really kind of helped guide a lot of our learning with regards to the mental health framework, starting all the way back in August. So our mental health framework, on that graphic, you can kind of see there are 6 different components of it, which seems small, but it's a very all-encompassing, large umbrella term mental health framework. It includes things like our trauma-sensitive schools. It includes our academic and career planning. It includes our social emotional learning. It includes a lot of different things. So back in August, we first assembled our district mental health guiding coalition, which had members, a cross-section of elementary school, Montessori school, administration, student services, to really kind of set the philosophical bumpers, I guess, the framework for a lot of the work that is to come. So we assembled that team. We met at CISA 4. Those 3 aforementioned individuals kind of helped us get a brief understanding. It didn't feel brief, though, and we're still kind of learning through it, of the Wisconsin mental health framework. And then through that, we also did some defining of what is mental health. And so if you look back actually on the first page, right below the header is our purpose statement that we defined for our district mental health guiding coalition, which is that we will ensure students acquire the skills and knowledge needed to live a fulfilling life and navigate life's stressors. And in that purpose statement is part of our definition of mental health. So we had to grapple with this idea, because sometimes we think mental health and we confuse it with mental wellness. And we think of things like depression, anxiety, iterations of self-harm, which is part of mental health, but it's much bigger than that. We also grappled with the idea of what it is that we wanted for our students. There was a conversation around having happy students, that maybe removing some of the stressors from their life, removing some of the turmoil that they experience. And then we decided, that's not necessarily reality, right? That's not necessarily our job to remove all of those things. It's more of our job in preparing them with mental health of, do they have those skills and those knowledge and that knowledge needed to navigate those things that are going to combat them? Not just, we can do our best to create a safe environment for them to learn those things when they're here at school, but ultimately our job is to prepare them for when they're not within this building or these buildings any longer. So that is our definition of mental health as well. Skills and knowledge needed to live a fulfilling life and navigate life stressors, regardless of the path that they choose. So whether they're choosing to go to a post-secondary school, a university, a technical college, or go right into a career or go into the armed forces, making sure that they have those skills and that knowledge in order to navigate whatever those stressors might be for whatever path that it is that they're called to do. So that was August. Then we were challenged, we were charged with the task of really kind of getting an idea of where our building is at and trying to figure out where we're going next. So on that first page, those 6 components, the continuum of mental health supports collaboration, needs assessment, resource mapping, mental health referral pathways, sustainability, and data. I read those quickly because I didn't want to insult you. It's all in the page, right? The SHAPE assessment is one of those tools that we can use to get an idea of where we're at with regards to those 6 components. The Wisconsin Mental Health Framework is built off of the same framework as the SHAPE assessment. So our district mental health guiding coalition got together multiple times for multiple hours. It is an extensive assessment and really talking about not just what it is that we aspire to do or what it is that we feel like we have pockets of evidence of in our building, but what do we have kind of pervasive of evidence of us doing in our district, and what are the things that we're not doing in our district. And through that, we identified that one of the things that we don't have is proactive data. So you heard Pat talk about PBIS, which is fantastic. And that is on that framework. It is part of that integrated into academic and behavior systems piece, but a lot of that is reactive, right? It's collecting that data after the things happen. What we don't have a whole lot of is data proactively of what skills, dispositions, knowledge our students already have, and what is it that they're lacking. And then what can we do in multiple tiers of supports? And that's that continuum of mental health supports. It's not just after students experience mental unwellness. It's what skills can we teach them so that they are navigating that mental unwellness or those moments of stressors. And so that's what we identified was our first priority, was getting a universal screening for mental health. And when we say mental health, that's not a screener for whether they have anxiety or depression or those kinds of things. That is not what we're trained or called to do, right? There are medical professionals that do an excellent job of that. What we want are those skills, right? Again, the skills and the knowledge pieces. So back in October, we started attended the Universal Screeners Vendor Fair at CISA 4. So all of these different vendors that create products that they claim do this thing that we're trying to find a tool to do. We listened to a bunch of them. It was fun. I thought it was really fun. I had some other individuals from the district that also attended it, and they thought it was not as fun as I thought, but they also thought it was kind of fun. And so through that, we did and now we're on stage 4 here, our 3-stage filtration process is what we're calling it. So that vendor fair was the first part, and that was kind of filtering out the things that we knew we didn't want. So we had a conversation as the District Mental Health Guiding Coalition of what are the things that we need from that universal screener, what are the things that we want, and what are the things that we don't want. And we use that prioritization, that protocol to kind of say, okay, these are not a good fit for rural area schools. That was filter number 1. And filter number 2 was, because those vendors were talking to multiple schools at that vendor fair, having one-on-one conversations with that vendor, with those vendors that we said, okay, might be a good fit, and ask them questions specifically for Viroqua area schools. Is it going to fit for us? So we had demos with 5 of those vendors from the vendor fair. And then we filtered it down to 3 now that we're going to be doing some pilots in. And to do those pilots, you need people on the ground level, right? So we have that philosophical framework, some really good perspective and voices in that district team, but we know that we're not going to be the ones that are going to be able to really understand the nuances, the minutiae of what's going to go into implementing that, even at a pilot level within those building levels. So in February here, February 12th, at that in-service last Monday, that feels like forever ago, but it was last Monday, Tom. We had our launch. I was actually sick for it, but I hear it went really well. We had our launch. We had a couple of coaches from CISA 4, not all 3 of them. One of them was sick as well. But guide us through some of that. You'll notice those bullet points for that recruit process is very similar to that assemble process. It was our intention to create a common language and understanding of the mental health framework, of what is mental health and what is it that we're called to do as the mental health guiding coalitions, both at the district and at the building levels. And so that was a large part of what we're doing that we did on February 12th. Now, the next thing that we're called to do, now we're on the last page here, and sorry, not to gloss over, I did put a table of the members of each of those teams, which all deserve a huge shout out because that is extra time. That is extra time that they are being asked to zoom out and rise above the muck of the day-to-day, which is not easy, right? We have students that we care about very deeply that might be experiencing a large amount of success, a large amount of struggle. And we're asking those individuals to kind of zoom out and say, okay, how do we look long-term at how do we not just prepare these students in front of us, but the students that are going to be in front of us in years to come with these, again, skills and knowledge in order to navigate life stresses, regardless of what path it is that they choose or are called to do. So we've got our pilots then that are going to be the next conversations with our building level mental health guiding coalitions. They're going to get an idea of the who, what, where, when. We know the why that we spent some time on February 12th and before of the compelling case for change for why it is that we have to do this. But we're going to get an idea of more of those logistical pieces of implementing those pilots. Through that, we're going to be able to then select what is going to be that tool of best fit for our buildings and our district. And then beyond that, so if you go down the path there, we need to figure out a guaranteed viable curriculum. So now we might have some good information on where our students are at and where it is that we need them to be that they might not be. But we have to figure out, okay, how do we teach this to all students? Similar to what Pat was saying with PBIS. Which is good for contextualized behaviors like in the hallway, in the bathrooms and stuff like that. We're looking at universal skills here. How do we create a guaranteed viable curriculum and ensure that learning for all of our students with regards to those skills? And then down the line, so now we're gonna have tier one, we're gonna guarantee some of that learning for all students. But we know that even with the highest quality of instruction, the best practice would suggest that we got 80% of students that will get it that first time. And we're gonna need 20% of students that are gonna need extra help. So we need targeted interventions, not just for small groups, but also for some of those students that still experience struggle with learning the material after even that small group intervention and need even more support, something different, something more. So that is also part of the consideration for future conversation as that is the update for the Mental Health Framework Guiding Coalition. What questions do you have for me? I felt like I was going to be a lot shorter than it ended up being. Surprise, surprise.
Good job. It's necessary, tough work and very complex.
This is obviously in total alignment with what the state is expecting for, you know, moving forward with this. And so state legislature is constantly reevaluating this and will continue to do so over the next few years.
Oh, and on that note, it's also very much in alignment with our strategic plan. And that's what we spent a great deal on. We had a second guiding coalition day. I didn't mention that in the timeline. That at CISA 4 that we talked about district plan and how it is that the strategic plan and how it is that this is in alignment with that. And we had a hard time saying what pillar it wasn't, but squarely in that wellness pillar and definitely in the creative evidence.
Are there grant opportunities?
There are. In fact, we spent a great deal of time, especially Kathy, spent a great deal of time on the Stronger Connections grant in partnership with some of the other area schools. Is a big one for us. We submitted that back in November. And the timeline says that we should know in February. It's
So
February
probably March.
19th. We haven't heard yet, but we're really hoping that would be a big one for us.
And so that grant was written with other school districts in our area?
With the private schools in our area, so Pleasant Ridge and Youth Initiative.
Okay. Thank you. So I did send an email, I know it was a little late, about what the actual definition for our district was. Do you have that actual definition?
Yeah, I tried to allude to that through that.
I
didn't get
know
that
you
email.
spoke to a couple of different
Yeah, so
areas.
the district definition, and I guess I didn't put that in here because there was probably more conversation about that on February 12th that I wasn't privy to.
Oh, okay.
That I want to learn more about.
That's
But
okay.
well, our
That's
district
great.
one, I can give you that one, was the one that I reiterated multiple times was the skills and knowledge needed to navigate life stressors regardless of the path they choose.
That was part of it.
Yep.
That's wonderful. When I was reading through it before, that was one of the questions that I had because you can define it in so many different ways and so many different components to it. So,
Yep.
so thank you. Great work. Anybody have questions? Robert?
Nope. Thanks for the report.
Thank you. The next item is summer school update. Krista.
Great, well, summer school is in the works already. With Mr. Abbing not with us anymore this summer, we're kind of taking a different approach to planning and coordinating summer school. I will be taking on like the pre and post coordinating work, and then when the sessions are in progress, and Pat are going to collaborate on the active principal role. So we'll put our heads together
And Jason a little bit.
and Jason a little bit too.
Sorry, James. Yeah, he was really feeling bad about being left out right there. Yep, for sure.
Oh, he thought maybe the plans had changed.
So we've taken several steps already. I listed a few with bullet points there. The dates have been set. High school as a traditional May 28th through June 21st, just one session, mornings. The elementary and middle school is taking a little bit different approach. We'll be having 2 sessions this year, 1 3-week session in June and 1 3-week session in July. And so because of our longer summer, we wanted to offer it for a little bit extended amount of time to provide them extra opportunities for our families. So that has made just a little more creative planning necessary to make it clear that the 2 sessions for staffing, 2 sessions in the registration booklet, just so that everyone understands what they're signing up for. So far, we've put together a team of all people who are gonna be involved. Had some meetings with Dan Brown, Lacey Sheldon from the library, sent out both an interest survey, Kale from the Park and Rec. Sent out an interest survey to staff to just kind of get an idea of how many folks would be interested in working for both of those sessions. And after that point, sent out the actual registration paperwork to get commitments from staff for one or both of the sessions. And we're kind of in the middle of collecting that information and also their proposals for the afternoon enrichment classes. And just recently, we sat down with Cody to determine some classroom placements, because also with construction, that will be an interesting dilemma, but Cody worked with Myron that very same day and came up with a really great plan that included many of the things we were hoping for, and more.
Yeah.
So that's being finalized. The registration book is getting put together as course proposals come in, and that can be anticipated to be sent out at March. And I will give another update next month as more pieces develop.
Thank you all. Thank you all for taking on those roles. The next item, winter co-curricular update, Jason.
Yeah, Dan put together the written update for you. He's likely in the building. One of the changes we had to do, the girls getting a home playoff game tomorrow night. That created a conflict with our boys' games that were supposed to be tomorrow night here. So those games got to move till tonight. Yesterday, the boys also earned themselves a home playoff game. Next Tuesday, the boys will be hosting Richmond Center here in the first round of playoffs. You'll see on and Dan has reported in the past months, the participation was pretty similar throughout winter sports. You'll see as far as competitiveness, many of the sports saw an increase in competitiveness. I would even say, girls hockey is one that probably took a little bit of a step back record wise. But Kathy had been a few of them. It's probably not really reflective of how they play. For those that aren't aware with girls hockey's, there is only one division. So you take on schools that draw from, some of the schools have like an entire county that they draw from. Our girls this year, last year graduated a lot of our goal scorers. So this year, we were in a lot of games. And the scores were a lot closer usually than the shots on goal were. So our girls were pretty competitive, but some nights they were literally taking on teams that had twice as many girls suited up to play the game. And you get to the third period, you would just tell that it's gonna be a little bit rougher in that sense. But all in all, it's been a great winter season, and like we said, we've seen some nice jumps. If you're not aware, Maddie Zuby qualified for state wrestling, so she'll be going down. She's doing a send off Thursday morning, likely. We gotta figure out how to time that out, so she can leave because our first match is Thursday night. Yeah, so there's a lot of real positives coming out of this winter sports season.
And one boy wrestler that was this close.
Exciting. They're great memories, great experiences, leadership. It's wonderful. So thank you. Wish boys success on Tuesday, and are the girls also tomorrow, and wish the girls success tomorrow. The next item is board reports, and we have Laurel High School. Vicki.
I was not able to attend the meeting on January 29th, but have the minutes, and I wanted to share that they are working through the student handbook and doing revisions on that. So they have board members and student reps going through the handbook. So they'll be working on that. They discussed the possibility of having a student parent board member alliance to handle future updates so that it's reviewed on a regular basis. And then the next meeting is February 26th. Next Monday. I hope to attend that one. someone schedules a meeting. That worked at that time.
Thank you. BAM's update, Kim?
Yep, they are working on some marketing materials for, Montessori. They're looking at, social media things and how things are posted and if they could, excuse me, get more posted, with Montessori, and they're just exploring some of those things. And then, spent a fair amount of time talking about the charter school grant, which, it would be too rushed to even attempt to probably do anything this year, but they would, it's a 5-year cycle, so looking at trying to write something for that, next year.
Pat, did you have anything to add to that?
No, one thing is, we're looking at doing a presentation for the school board, one in the spring and one in the fall. With the spring being, more teacher student focused, in the fall, being more governance council and those key performance indicators, because we won't have the results until sort of fall, showing some data pieces.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. Any questions? Great. WASB legislative update. I will say what I read is that Mr. Van Orden met with district administrators in our CSAT area.
Yep.
And was pretty well attended, and CISA organized that meeting, and I know Tom went and discussed some of the federal issues of K-12 education. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I think it was a good and open, honest conversation. You never know how those are gonna go, and I do believe, you know, that Representative Van Orden did a nice job of listening and doing some problem solving with the superintendents. I think as he is a newer member of Congress, it is a learning experience on how to get things done in Washington. And so he's just kind of in the start of that and really understanding how things happen. So that's where we're at.
Spring school board election, Tuesday, April 2nd. The candidates on April 2nd spring election ballot will be Vicky, Robert, and Kim. So we have 3 candidates, and they're all existing board members, which is lovely. So congratulations to the 3 of you. And 2024 WASB convention update. Myself, Matt, Dana, Marina, Mike, and Tom attended, and Tom already spoke about that. Mike, did you want to add anything from your experience there?
No, I think it was good. We went to that Finance 101 or whatever they call it. Again, as Tom kind of mentioned, it does not fit for everybody, but I think they definitely tried.
Yeah.
A couple of new topics this year that I was able to go to actually were pretty good. And I think they did a good job. It's just always good to go, talk to other people throughout the state, what they're seeing, feeling, hearing. And understand that, you know, some of what you get frustrated with isn't as bad as you think it is. And that, you know, some of what you're doing is right, both academically and operationally.
Matt, do you want to share any information from any of the breakout sessions or the convention?
I apologize, I don't have my notes with me, but just kind of taking a look at, I think Mike talked about it, we talked about the finance, just the finance overview. It was long. A little drawn out, but just a good overview of what was going on. So from a board perspective, Wednesday, I did attend the superintendent evaluation framework that WASB has, and I think what we're doing is good, and we're using their tool, and I think there are a couple things that we could update and change on that.
If you don't mind sending me some of those ideas you have of some changes, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and we've talked about it too, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I pulled up the agenda, to try to get my mind, get it one. Effective policy development, that was interesting. Just again, where some districts are and the tools that they're not using is amazing. And just that we have Neola and to take advantage of that, it's has been really good. A lot of questions in there, a lot of people, with just legal questions on where they're positioning themselves and what they're doing. And are struggling. So I'm surprised on that. I did attend a Myths of Controlling Medical Costs from a health insurance standpoint, so obviously my background there, but not a lot. It was know your data, get your data, review your data. A lot of it is all after the fact, which does nothing for the cost of care. So so that was interesting, I thought. And then operational and financial accountability. There, just talking about audits and where things are at. So again, we're doing well from that standpoint. And then the school district budget cycle. That was another one that was, it was really good. But it really got in depth on all the assessments, when the assessments happen, what just the whole process of what was going on. So I think from a board level, it was interesting to know where do your dollars come from. But it was, there's a lot of information in that. So, and then just looking through the agenda, just reminding me again, it's interesting to see what they're putting out there. And why some boards are working on the things that they are, or why board members think that they're responsible for certain things. And I don't know if I think a highly effective board should be working on, which I put us in that category. So that was good. And then just, good to hear where people are at, see people we haven't seen for a little while, and get some folks.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Dana, so what's your take on your first convention?
My first experience. Great experience. I was the fortunate one to go to the delegate assembly.
And you have that for a long.
Pleasant.
So happy your experience was.
I was
The shortest.
I was with Matt when you texted, and I don't know if that was his response there. Matt was, How long was yours? How was your long as your?
2 hour or,
Yeah.
it was the time allotted.
Yeah, it was 2 hours.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
That's
So,
a
record hasn't been like.
And for those of you that are kind of wondering, from what I was told, Matt's experience was
And I
very
think-
lengthy
You
and.
guys ended at 4 hours.
I left it for it.
I
Yeah,
believe-
that's what it was.
I believe what had happened the previous year was kind of a disorganized and mess and lots of, very unprofessional situation. And they must have reined it in for this year, and kind of a lot of people within the audience were very adamant about keeping things in order. And so there was a lot of that going on. So again, I believe what we were accomplishing was going through some policy and just kind of reviewing those things and making sure things were approved, or at least were the way we all wanted it to look, to be approved, to move on to the and whatnot. So it was very short and sweet compared to Matt's experience. So it went well in my opinion. So, and again, having the company of everybody that I got to go with was fun until I got sick. But regardless, it was a good time, and I learned a lot and look forward to it next year again.
For attending as well. Marina?
I look forward to it every year. I love the exhibit hall. Some of the sessions I went to, branding your school, the referendum. I went to one about the National Weather Service and when to call off school, and we have it all, flooding and ice and heat, and Viroqua was like the hub of all weather disasters. I went to one about student apprenticeships, which we're just starting, so that was awesome. And we got to celebrate Angie's birthday.
Well, thank you for attending. I always enjoy it for a lot of different reasons, but I tried to go to the breakout sessions that somehow related to the art pillars. And so that was how I tried to choose, although any of them could in some way, shape, or form. There was a students presenting in the exhibit hall. There was Lab Midwest, which was really interesting about how they're building these motorcycles and they're using welding and all different types of tools. And with SNS cycle being right here, it's kind of an interesting exhibit to go to. And they compete with other school districts. Platteville School District, they have this inclusion advocacy group, and it's Youth Unity Summit United. Work that they're doing in their school district is absolutely phenomenal of how they are creating these leaders and the diversity of their student population. And I spoke to many of them, and I also went to a breakout session where they spoke and how they are, they have a safe school district, and it's unacceptable in any way to speak negatively about another individual, no matter what they look like, where they come from. And they talked about the past when the school district was not like that, and how far they've come and trying to get rid of any hatred, any bigotry, the whole diversity component. And these students spoke so beautifully. It was like you're speaking to a 35-year-old or listening to a 35-year-old. Platteville. It was fabulous. They have a United Against Hate group. Anyway, just marvelous. And they're doing really, really well. There's also, on February 8th, there's something from 8:30 to 3:30 in person at the McFarland Performing Arts. And actually, Molly Harris is going to be speaking at that, and it's all about diversity and inclusion, equity, diversity, and inclusion. I also went to esports, which was student in the exhibit hall. That was really interesting. And those students were really fun to talk to as well. They had STEM learning programs for every age. They had the first Lego League. It's called FIRST, first tech challenge, first robotics competition, first Lego League Discover pre-K to first grade, first Lego League Explore 2 to 4 grades, first Lego League challenge. And these kids were great. I mean, what they were showing, the robotics that they had, what they built, was very inspiring. It's like, oh, we need to do all of that, but obviously that's not how it works. But watching what these students were doing and what they were learning was really fascinating. The student artwork I always think is great. I always think we have students that should be there every year, because I know our students, I see our artwork and it is better than many of the things that I see there every year.
It's subjective.
It's my opinion and I'm allowed to have it. And so anyway, I think our students' art is fabulous.
It is.
And I hope one day to see our students involved in that exhibit. There's scholarships that go with it. Anyway, that was great. And it was about there's always a title, it was cultural competence this year. So Tuesday, there was the school finance puzzle. I did not attend, but I got the packet, which I have. And anyone that would like to look at it, I am happy to share it with you.
And I'll sit down with them too if they really want.
If they really want to know, because Mike should be the one teaching the course. He goes to them to support all of these speakers, but he knows more than any of the presenters there.
No, they always teach me something.
I find that very difficult to believe, and I know that you could teach it better than what many of them have done in the past because I've attended. And with that, January 17th, Wednesday. What? What did you say?
I can do artwork.
Let me see it. You'll have to show the artwork. I'm not buying
Numbers are art, like.
The opening grand session, the speakers were not fabulous this year, and usually they are. And that was a disappointment, but okay. I went to Sharing Doesn't End in Kindergarten, and that was about 3 school districts that are sharing not curriculum, but courses. And so each of them have the same number of courses, and students go to different districts to attend those courses. And they had policy about it. They had the different curriculums, and it was really well done. And students were responsible for driving to the different school for the course. And they kept the dollars. They did not share dollars between each school for that amount that you get for a student. And they were doing a really good job of providing different educational opportunities between 3 different districts. Inclusion advocacy, which I already spoke to. I went to that breakout session as well. Once again, absolutely. They're working with CISA 6, You Belong, promote inclusion and a sense of belonging to all students and employees. It was fabulous. I went to Empowering with AI, Enhancing Teaching and Learning, and that was my favorite. And they gave policy it's teacher oriented, and the resources that teachers can use with AI, and speaking to all of the amazing things that teachers can do with these experiences. They were also talking about platforms that are free today, but are not going to be free. And anything that you use from those platforms, you better save, because you're not going to be able to get them later. You're not going to be able to retrieve your information, because all these businesses are just working on the financial component, or they're charging a small amount. Some are charging per school, some are charging per student, but save whatever you use with any of the AI information. And then they gave multiple resources, but policy was the real component that I took the most from. About there's the ethical component of it. And so I do have a copy of that, because their presentation is not online. And so I have the teachers that spoke, and I just found fascinating. And there was a gentleman that writes software for an AI platform, and he just was happenstance in the audience. And at the end, he said, "What I want to tell you is a lot of the information in AI is inaccurate. It is built to sell, not necessarily to learn." Right now, he said that's changing, that's going to change. But anytime you look at that information, you need to find many, many more resources before you should take anything at fact. And for someone that writes software to make that comment, I thought was fascinating. But what they're using in the school district was really, really awesome. And how they're using it, and how they're actually helping teachers to not have to use as much time on some areas of their day, and the resources that they were using. So with that, it was fabulous. And I always enjoy it a ton. And it's always cold.
It's always cold.
Oh, it's cold. It's always, every year it's the coldest week of the year. So anyway, thank you all. And we have upcoming meetings. Wednesday, March 6th is a board workshop. Monday, March 18th is our regular board meeting. Wednesday, April 3rd is our board workshop. Monday, April 15th is a regular board meeting. With that, I will adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, Robert.